YouTube family, what's going on? This is Mark. So today I'm going to be talking to you about something as I go along my journey to pursue my doctorate degree. One thing that is crucially important in every individual that's in a master's program or a research-based program knows that it's important to read a significant amount of journal articles. Um, Doing that allows you to truly get an understanding and grasp what the research is saying currently about the topic that you're deciding to study. So, to kind of give you a quick insight of the topic that I have chosen to study, my topic is looking at the what secondary school principals can do to give a positive, um, essentially what can secondary school principals do to positively decrease the achievement gap between black boys and white boys, or said another way, what can secondary school principals do, or what strategies are successful principals doing to increase the student achievement between black and white boys. Now, two things. When I say secondary, I'm talking about high school. When I say black, I'm saying black to include all students from the African diaspora. So that includes my students out in the Caribbean, Haitian, Jamaican, Bahamian, folks from St. Croix, um, and the students that are, you know, that come straight from Africa that say, hey, I don't really um, see myself as, African American in the traditional sense. So that includes everybody from the African diaspora. And then when I use the word boy, it's not to be offensive. It's really to keep in context the gravity that when we're looking at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year old young men, although the society sometimes will associate, depending on who that individual is, associate those, when you look at the newspaper, you look at the news when we see young black men getting killed at 13, 14, and then 12. When the reports come in, they said, well, we thought they looked like they were 20 or 25. Or when you see a young man who's 15, 16 being charged as an adult, and we're looking at them from the lens of an adult and not the lens of a child, that gets kind of concerning. So for my research, I want to ensure that we're maintaining a position and looking at these young people as children. And as children, they need elders to show them the way. So, with that being said, that's where my research is lending itself now to say, what could we do to have a positive impact on the the graduation rate for black boys? There is a huge disparity. There's about a 30% achievement gap between black and white boys nationally as far as graduation rates are concerned. So, in some states, in some cities, the graduation rates are as low as 25 to 15%. So, one out of every four black boys, when they go into high school, they're going to walk out with a high school diploma on time with their cohort. So there's a lot of things that we see that prohibit or that act as barriers for why these young people, young men, are not graduating from high school on time. And then on the flip side of that, a lot of negative things that happen for young black boys when they don't graduate from high school on time. And really, anybody knows me, that's, really one of the reasons why I got into education is because I didn't want to be an individual on the sideline looking at, oh man, all of these bad things that happen to young black boys, and then I not try to help. I'm not saying I'm a savior or anything or taking that position, but I want to get into the fight to say, hey, what can we do to make a difference so that all students can be successful, but especially those young black boys who are, just failing at such a high rate. So the first thing you do when you're doing any type of research, you have to do a lot of reading. If you look at my office right now, I have stacks and stacks and stacks of material that I'm reading often so that I can get an understanding of what is the research saying the issues are. Now, for me, um, what you want to find is an empirical journal article. What that simply means is it's a journal article that has a study done to them. Now there's journal articles that you read that are simply a a summary of several journal articles. So that individual will look at several journal articles and synthesize the research. Basically, compare and kind of bring them together and see where they merge. That's good in one instance, but what you see is that you're kind of getting it secondhand. Even when I read journal articles now, you don't want to take the information secondhand. So one of my professors said, I can't quote somebody else's quote. So if I say Jimmy Doe said X, Y, and Z in my journal article, a lazy researcher will go and just say, well, according to John Blow, who said Jimmy Doe said X, Y, and Z, that is, and then you just throw that in your paper as a quote. You need to go down to the source. So if somebody quotes something and you find that to be interesting, then you need to go back to that source and see where they got that from. So in a research article, in a research article, you're gonna find a few things. First, the journal article is either gonna be qualitative, quantitative, or mixed results. So how I associate qualitative, quantitative, and mixed research in my mind is that quantitative, and I break it down for you. Quantitative simply means numbers. So when you look at a quantitative research, they have done surveys of some sort. The participants in that research have taken some type of survey, and what those researchers are doing are they're looking at all of the data points from that research, and then they're making observations from that. Qualitative research, when you look at the qualitative research, then what that individual is doing is that researcher is actually having conversations and they're conversing with individuals in the research, and then that person then makes observations based off of that. Lastly, you have mixed results where individual is simply doing qualitative and quantitative. So they're doing interviews, qualitative, and then quantitative, they're actually doing surveys to actually then they'll break it down and look at the results. So listen, I like to keep my videos at about 10 minutes. I'm at 9 minutes and about 20 seconds. So what I'll do, there's going to be a part 2 or part 3 because for those who are in school, for those who are studying, and if you're just studying for your own personal gain, you really want to understand how to break down research journal articles. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that I'm some professional or I have the answers to breaking down journal articles. Um, I'm just a guy trying to help as I go through this journey, trying to help others break it down because I know the struggle that I, what I grapple with as a researcher looking up journal articles and things that I've learned in the journey thus far that would have sped up my process if somebody was there. Well, you might want to do X, Y, and Z first before you read every single word that they say. So there'll be a part two. If need be, a part three. Hopefully, we don't need to go past a part three. But until next time, this is Marks from Marks Result. Listen, I'm tripping. This is Marks from Marks Result. Oh man, this is Mark from Mark's Remarks. I kept saying this is Marks from Mark's Results. My bad. But we're gonna go through this and we'll look at more journal articles. You know, when the preacher's preaching and he says something like, "This ain't no shouting message," right? So this isn't a message that we're kind of being goofy with or playing around with, but you know, it is what it is. This is like meat and potatoes type of message, but we'll work on it. And hey, leave your comments, show the love. Until next time, peace.